I turned 80 this winter. The doctor didn't say I was dying. Not yet. But he did lean back in his chair and look at me in that careful way doctors do when they're measuring how much truth a man can hold. He said, "Your heart's tired." I told him, "Aren't we all?" He didn't laugh. So I've been sitting out here on the porch more often lately, watching the neighborhood wake up. The same street I've lived on for 37 years, the same cracked sidewalk, the same oak tree that drops too many acorns every fall. You get to 80 and you start thinking about what it all meant. I coached girls basketball for 48 years. Same high school gym, same squeaking hardwood floor, same scoreboard that flickered when the wiring got moody. I watched more than 6,000 girls pass through that gym. I kept index cards on every single one of them, not because I was obsessive, because I cared. Position they played, grades, notes about their home life if I knew it. Later, I'd scribble updates: college, marriage, divorce, career, kids, sometimes obituary dates. You see enough lives unfold, you start to notice patterns, and I need to tell you something that might disappoint you. Almost everything we think predicts success doesn't. When I first started coaching back in the 1960s, I believed talent was destiny. You spot a girl who can move like she's got springs in her shoes, who sees the court like it's laid out in blueprints. You think, well, there she goes. She's going somewhere. Sometimes they did. Often they didn't. I remember one girl, I'll call her Stephanie, best athlete I ever coached, natural point guard. She didn't run, she floated, could thread a pass through traffic like she was sewing. Scouts filled the bleachers by her junior year. Everyone knew her name. And when your whole town knows your name at 17, something dangerous happens. You start believing you've already arrived. She had a full ride, Big Ten school, future locked in. Then she tore her ACL sophomore year of college. Now, here's the thing. Knees heal, not always perfectly, but they heal. What didn't heal was her sense of who she was without applause. Her entire identity had been built on what came easily. When the easy part disappeared, she didn't know what to build with. That's the illusion. We think gifts will carry us. We think early wins are proof of future safety. They're not. They're just the first chapter. And if you never learn how to write the rest, you end up stuck rereading high school. I've seen it more times than I can count. The natural ones stall. The overlooked ones surprise everyone. And that's where the real lesson begins.
There was another girl on that same team, Karen. Slow feet, average shot, nothing flashy. If you lined them up, you'd never have picked her first. But Karen showed up. Every practice, every drill, every film session where the rest of them rolled their eyes. She worked like someone who understood something the talented girls didn't. Nothing is guaranteed. Her father left when she was 6. Her mother cleaned houses. Karen didn't have the luxury of believing life would be fair. Senior year, our starting forward had to leave the team unexpectedly. Karen stepped in. Was she spectacular? No. Was she ready? Yes, that's different. She played every remaining game, made all conference. Not because she outshined anyone, because she outlasted them. Last I heard, she runs an oncology unit at a hospital. Married nearly 40 years, 3 kids, a yard full of grandkids' bicycles. When I look back at my index cards, I can almost predict the arc. The girls who never struggled early, they struggled late. The girls who struggled early, they developed muscle where it counted. And I don't mean physical muscle. I mean the kind that keeps you upright when the phone rings at 2 a.m., the kind that steadies your breathing when the diagnosis comes, the kind that lets you stay when walking away would be easier. Here's something parents don't like to hear. If you clear every obstacle from your child's path, you don't make their road smooth, you make them weak. I had a valedictorian once. Brilliant mind. Everything handed to her. The first real heartbreak she faced in college, she unraveled. No tools, no calluses, just shock. Life hits everyone eventually. It hit me when my husband Harold died in 1989. 42 years married. You think you're prepared. You're not. The house sounded different after that. Even the refrigerator hum felt louder. But grief, strange as it sounds, revealed something. All those years we showed up for each other. The ordinary Tuesdays, the quiet dinners, the arguments about nothing. They had built a foundation stronger than talent ever could. Love is endurance. It isn't fireworks. It's repetition. You choose the same person over and over until you can't anymore. And when he was gone, I didn't crumble. I bent. I wept. I sat in the dark longer than I care to admit, but I didn't disappear, because over decades I had practiced staying. That's the muscle I wish more people would build. Not brilliance, not status. Staying power. The cost of chasing only talent or only achievement is fragility. When the job disappears, when the body fails, when the applause fades, what's underneath? That's the question. At 80, you don't think about championships. I couldn't tell you our exact record in 1978, but I remember the sound of sneakers on hardwood. I remember the smell of popcorn drifting from the concession stand. I remember a girl sitting at the end of the bench, fighting back tears because she thought she'd let the team down. And I remember putting my hand on her shoulder and saying, "We'll try again tomorrow." That's what remains, not the banners, the moments. I have buried former players. That's the hardest part of living this long. You expect to go before them. Sometimes you don't. Patty was 5'2" and insisted on playing center. I told her she was too small. She proved me wrong. Outworked girls 6 inches taller. She became a coach herself. When she passed last spring, her daughter sent me a photo of Patty's old whistle hanging by the front door. That whistle meant more than any trophy. It meant she stayed in the game. You want to know the clearest pattern I saw across 6,000 lives? Happiness had almost nothing to do with achievement. It had everything to do with connection. The women who ended up alone in big houses with impressive resumes, they sounded tired when they called. The women with modest jobs but crowded Thanksgiving tables, they sounded full. At the end, nobody asked about points per game. They asked, "Who's here?" My daughter Carol brings me soup now. My great-granddaughter reads to me from whatever book she's working through in school. Sometimes she stumbles over the big words. I don't correct her, I just listen. Former players stop by, some of them gray-haired now. They sit where you're sitting on this porch, and we talk about ordinary things. That's my trophy case. You spend your younger years thinking the world is a ladder. Climb higher, earn more, win more. At 80, you realize it was never a ladder. It was a circle. You end up back where you started, with people, with love, with the question of whether you showed up when it counted. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm curious about it, in the way you're curious about the final chapter of a long novel. I've had my turn on the court. What remains now is quiet. Morning light on the porch railing, the hum of distant traffic, the steady rhythm of a heart that's a little slower than it used to be. If I could hand you anything from these 80 years, it wouldn't be a secret formula. It would be this: Build resilience before you need it. Work on more than one thing. Protect your relationships like they're irreplaceable, because they are. And when life knocks you down, get up. Even if you get up slower each time. That's the whole game. Simple, hard, worth it. The sun's dipping low now. The oak trees throwing long shadows across the yard. I've outlived many of my girls, but not all of them. And as long as some of them are still out there, raising kids, caring for patients, coaching their own teams, part of me is still in the game too. When my heart finally decides it's done, I hope the last thing I feel isn't fear. I hope it's the same thing I felt on Friday nights in that old gym, a quiet satisfaction, the buzzer sounding, and knowing I stayed on the court until the clock ran out.